and welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is August 31st. I can't believe we're almost into September, but this is your FM weekly entertainment podcast coming here where we believe that a rising tide does raise all ships. So I am your host, Mr. Wade Stallenfacher, or Discount Tom Cruise, or I've been called Tom Brady. Who else? Steve Jobs. I don't know where people get any of this stuff, but today is a very special day. We are here with Mr. Bitzer himself, the man we like to call Papa Bitzer from the Bitzer Agency over here. So I can't wait to get to all that. But, you know, first I always got to talk about me for a few moments. But, whoops. And again, I always hit the wrong one right away. So, Cito, I do miss you over here.
Is that my cue?
That's about it. Oh, yes, we do have merch. Uptown merch. So, basically, right now you have to find us on stage, wherever you can find us out there. I'm trying to remember the next time we're playing in town. I think it's in a few weeks. But we'll get you back on that. I am currently trying to figure out how to get online sales going here, but that doesn't cost $1 million to ship them out. So that's basically my problem at the moment. And whoops, I am all over the place again with Duct Tape Productions. Okay. Next, oh, there's my little Zebras. Yep, that's what he was about a year ago. And the couch doesn't look that way anymore either. And there's Cito. He's hugging. We call him Junior. He's the one who stands up and shows up all of our merch, our one T-shirt. Oh, yes. And then last weekend, I'm assistant director of marching bands over at Moorhead High, and they had their first, parade over at the Minnesota State Fair on Saturday. So I just had to show them off a little bit there. And I can't believe they started school already on Monday. So those poor guys, I mean, they had to go State Fair on Saturday, drive the bus all the way back on Sunday, and then they start school the next morning. Feel bad for them. And then there's us. We're at the Avalon Event Center, which used to be the old Playmakers or the Hub, you know, the old venue, right on the big stage there. It's been a long time since I've been on that stage. That was really awesome. And you can see the spread out. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous night. And then, oh, that's right, I started again up at the Lake Agassiz. Now it's called Wind Ensemble. It used to be the concert band. And there is a difference. A concert band is basically anybody and everybody can play. A wind ensemble has one person per part, so it's a little more of an exclusive club now. Why they wanted to go that direction, I don't know. I wasn't there, but, you know, that's what it's called now. So, yeah, there's my bell set that I got to play that night. And then Brady, he was hanging out at the Hub there. I just thought it was a fun photo to take. And then, oh, that's right, on Friday, we were at Murphy's Pub, and then Dan Brecky stopped by. And he got up there and was jamming out with this third set. He was up there for about 20 minutes. That was a lot of fun. And Dan Brecky's going to be on the podcast next week. So shout out to Dan Brecky on there. That was a lot of fun, man. And I do believe that's all I've done this weekend. No Mustang stuff or anything else. I actually touched it, but, you know, haven't really got a chance to work on it. But, you know, this isn't about me. This is about Gary over here. So, Gary, how's it been?
Wonderful. Couldn't be any better.
I'm so happy that you came on here and I was doing this because I know a lot of people just love to hear the story of Gary.
Oh,
Mr. Gary Bitzer. So let's start off with brass tacks. Where'd you come from? Where were you born at and all that?
All right. Well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. We won't say when, other than it was the late 40s. That being said, I moved to Mississippi when I was 4. Went to the same school for 12 years, same building, and graduated. Went to the University of Southern Mississippi, and then I was on the road, obviously throughout the 70s, and we'll get to that part, but answering your question, that's basically my livelihood until I moved to Fargo in 1981.
Moved in 1981. So what started you in music in the first place?
I sang in the choir at church and the school choir.
Back in high school?
In high school, okay. and before, for church. With that being said, I had some friends called me. I suppose, after my sophomore year in high school, said, hey, come over and jam with us. So I went over, and the rest is history, kind of. I jammed with them and started playing with guys. That was 1964.
1964, that is
64.
awesome. So when did you start jamming You just sang then, or what?
I just sang then,
Okay.
and I had 2 more years of high school, so I bought a saxophone, of all things.
Nice.
And I had a conga drum, so saxophone and conga drum, that was my spill
That
back
all
then.
works.
So anyway, long story short, that started everything. And I just went from band to band. That was in the late 60s, of course. And early 70s, toward the mid 70s, I bought a club in Jackson, Mississippi.
You bought a club.
I bought a club.
Okay.
Or I say bought it. I took it over to buy.
Okay.
And
That's part of the deal, yeah.
put a house band together and played in the house band, my own band, and owned the club. And that went as long as it went, I remember.
What was that called then?
It was the Wagon Wheel, I believe, when I bought it. I don't remember what we called it, but the drummer and I both were pretty good at art. So it was all black and had black lights. And we had big fluorescent figures of faces like Joe Cocker or whoever on the walls. So it was kind of neat.
Nice. So
Had a nice big stage. Yeah, had a big stage. And so that ran its course. And by that time, a few more bands later, started going up to the Midwest, probably mid-70s.
Okay.
For work, because
they had more work up in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, still do today. And
Interesting.
it's not so much more work necessarily. It the pay was better. You know, when you're paying 80 cents a gallon for gas.
Can we go back to that?
Maybe it was less. I think it was. Might have been 64 cents. But so we'd go to the Midwest and be there anywhere from 6 to 16 weeks. And we would travel all over the Midwest, Montana, Idaho, you know, and we were playing big cities, Denver, Chicago, Minneapolis. We could never get into Fargo because they had so many good bands.
I keep hearing about that, like through the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, just like a golden time in Fargo.
It was great. They had so many good bands. Why hire a road band that they had to get a motel for, or several rooms? So we don't need to, you know, pay you good money and buy you rooms. So we don't need you.
Yeah, I heard this through my manager when I was working overnights at the Ortons down the street here. He was literally, this is like 20 years ago now or something like that. And he was telling me all about like the bands in Fargo were so good during, I was in a couple of original bands at the time, but they were so good in the Fargo area that like the Minneapolis bands couldn't compete with them, so they couldn't even get in. And I just thought that was crazy. But now you're backing it up, so that is cool.
So couldn't get into Fargo, but again, St. Louis, like I said, Chicago, Denver, Minneapolis, all these big cities, and small towns too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But so I was in Sioux Falls at a place called the Pomp Room in about 1980, and an agent had bought out Winston Entertainment, I believe. Bruce Strand was his name, and he was in a club that we were playing, and man, you got to bring your band up to Fargo. The particular band that he heard was a rock band. I had gone through a few changes the last couple of years in that particular band. That it was a 7-year run, and I said, Fargo, okay, I don't want to bring my band up there. He said, what about yourself? And he said, I know a band needs a keyboard player. Oh, by that time I started playing keys, by the way. I forgot that part of the story. Well, yeah, what that one was, real quick, we were a 5-piece band, couldn't afford the keyboard player anymore, so I went, okay, I've been singing for a long, long time. I should be able to figure out chords and stuff.
So you've been like lead vocals that entire time?
Yeah, that time.
Excellent.
And I started playing piano just by ear because I felt like if I could sing, I could figure out chords. So I sucked for, you know, lead and all that, but I played pretty good chords. So anyway, he said, we got a band in Fargo, needs a keyboard player and a singer. With that being said, I said, okay, have them call me. So we finished the week at the Sioux Falls. No call. I didn't expect one because you get that all the time. You know, oh man, can I do something for you, buddy?
What?
Exactly. So we went to Sioux City, Iowa the next week, a biker bar, and what they called them back then. And he gave me a call on that Saturday, I believe it was, and said, "Have you heard from Kevin?" I went, "No." He went, "Well, here he is." So he gave Kevin the phone. And I said, "Well, send me a tape and I'll send you a tape." And so we went on to the next show, whatever it was. He got the tape, I got his tape. They were a really good band. And so we agreed that I would route my band back to Mississippi. And that was basically it in a nutshell. I routed the band back. I can remember it pretty good. We routed back through Oklahoma and back down to the south. I took 2 weeks off and painted all the gear. I had a big truck, equipment truck full of gear, and then I had a passenger van that we traveled in the van.
Okay.
And hooked a van on the back of the equipment truck and drove up here.
So all that stuff was yours?
Yeah. I don't even remember. Every time I was in a band, even Icebreaker, and we'll get to that one too.
Oh yeah.
I would buy, if people left, because I seemed to be the last one standing all the time, you know. So I would buy out everybody or whatever. And so came up here with all this gear and joined the band. Well, they were having all kind of problems. I mean, I'm going, oh man, what have I got myself into?
Oh, so you moved like 1,000 miles.
1,400 miles.
1,400 miles.
And,
just to find yourself into a mess.
Into a mess. So we were playing the Lamplight in Moorhead, and 2 guys came and was watching us play. And
where was the Lamplight at?
That's where we were playing that particular night. It's the old where Planet Fitness is right now. It was right in that area.
Okay, like where Marguerite's used to be?
Marguerite's. That was a mall, and she had her own store in the parking lot. But
okay, yeah. The Holiday Mall over there.
Ace Hardware was there, and Lamplight and whatever. So these 2 guys came up during the break and said, "Man, we got to have you in our band. You know, we got to have you in our band." And I said, "Okay." I'm going, "Well, I'm interested." I said, "But the problem is," and they said Johnny Home. You know, and I'm going, Johnny Home? I didn't know Johnny Home from Adam. I thought it was the porn star, right? Johnny Home, the porn guy. So anyway, I'm going, I'm not sure I want to be in that band. It could be embarrassing. So anyway, they said, "Well, come out and see us play." And I said, "Well, the problem is Kevin, who brought me up here, I had a really nice apartment in a really old home over in Fargo, and that they had just remodeled the basement. So I'm living in the basement."
Oh, so you had the whole basement to yourself?
Had the whole Well, I had a wife and a kid.
Wow.
But I'll say this very quickly. Moved up here with a rocking chair, a TV, and a mattress. The rest of it was all gear. So
that's hardcore.
So we go out to the fair. He said, "Well, we need a bass player too." Kevin was the bass player that hired me.
Oh, okay.
So we'll hire both of you. And went out to the fair to hear them. And I believe they got through one song. Maybe they got through one song. And back then the bands provided their own PA at the fair.
At the fair.
At the fair in the grandstand.
What?
Now this is 83 81 by this time. So 81. They blew the entire PA up. So I got to hear half a song, you know, and that was it. So anyway, Kevin and I go, "I don't know if we're doing the right thing. We'll just tell John that we can't do it for the money he's offering, you know, and we're just going to pass." And because we went out to dinner after that.
Oh.
So anyway, John said, okay, then what will it take? We told him, and he said, okay. And of course, we'd already put our foot in our mouth now. So we joined the band, and we were with Johnny Home for 2 years. And 3 of us left John in 1983. And we gave him plenty of notice, and we were passing tapes around with all the songs we were going to learn in this group we were going to put together.
Oh, yes.
And so 3 of us and the sound man, so there were 4 that left Johnny Home. We put Icebreaker together, and then that was a 26-year project.
Oh.
So we had a lot of success and good times and hard times and great times and everything that goes with that. And that was it. So 26 years of that. I finally couldn't take it anymore and decided it was time to retire. And we were coming home from a gig one night. Put my hand over on Gordy's leg. He was sitting next to me, Gordy Peterson, the bass player. And I said, I can't do it anymore. So, and my mom and dad, Sally and I, my wife, had moved them up here to take care of them from Mississippi.
Okay.
So we moved into the basement. So here we are. I'm a basement dweller again, right? and we took care of them many, many years before they passed on. And anyway, I had told Gordy my dad was really sick, and I said I can't do it anymore. And that was it. So we figured a date, had a big going away party and last show and all that stuff. And
where was this last show at?
Well, we did the last club show at the Windbreak, believe it or not, back when the stage was down in the little hole, and back where I think the gaming is now.
How long has the Windbreak been there? Because I remember, wasn't
Lord.
that like out by itself for a long time?
It was at the truck stop. It was the Flying J truck stop. It's still there. It's the same place. But they cut the building off from you used to go through where the stage is now with the door going into a restaurant.
Oh.
So then the restaurant into the C-store, the truck stop.
Yeah.
And the restaurant was part of the truck stop. But anyway, so they basically cut the building off from the rest of it. And the rest is history, right? We got the Windbreak. And so anyway, that was it. I decided to retire. My dad was dying, and Steve Babb from the Shakers called me up. We had been buddies. I had started booking bands in 1995.
Oh, so what year was this when Icebreaker finally broke up?
2009, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So I'd been booking bands about 14 years, I suppose. So it didn't matter if I came in at 7 in the morning from a gig. I would go to the office, which was my basement at the time, every day, because I was committed to doing the agency right, doing it the right way. I started out working for another agency, and I was picking up all the Fargo bands that didn't have an agent and bringing them to the company. So I told I'll say who it is, John Dagan Entertainment. I told him, I said, look, I brought all these bands to the company. Can I get like another % commission? I think I was making 4% or something. He got the rest, right? 15% was what all the agencies were. And he said, no, it don't work like that. And I went, well, I'll see you. He said, well, you can't go book bands because there's a no-compete clause,
Oh,
you can't
sign something?
You can't book bands for a year. I said, I didn't sign crapola.
Oh.
I'll see you. And all of my Fargo bands, Fargo Moorhead, came with me, and that started Bitzer Agency. We grew in the basement of my house, and when it got up to a point where we were about 3 agents working, and then low ceiling like this, basement,
Yeah.
And low ceiling, we're all talking on the phone. And my wife was about to kill me because they'd go up and help themselves to food and stuff. And can we go up and make a sandwich? Well, sure.
Just being hospitable. That's all you were.
We're going to go up and cook some supper for you. Okay, I'll see you shortly. I'm working. So anyway, I finally went, I got to get out of the house before I get killed, you know, Mama's going to kill me here. And we ended up moving because I was booking playmakers, I think, at the time. And Lee Swanson had the old bank building, that Chinese restaurant, the China King or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where the walkway is.
Yep.
He had that, and he said, well, I'll rent you the whole second floor. And that was an old bank building built in 1890. So it's real Renaissance feel.
Yeah.
So put
now
in
you're downtown.
5,200 square feet or a little more. Had a little kitchen area. We put in a recording studio, 2 control rooms, a tracking room, and my son built a round room inside one of the other big rooms. Then we had a nursery, because I said, well, if you want to come and talk to me and you got kids, might as well throw them in the nursery and let them. Had tons of toys, right?
Yes. Oh man. No.
A couple friends of mine in Baby Grand put a little music store in there, not to compete with Marguerite, but because all the traffic we had with musicians, just selling strings and, you know, picks and whatever. They had a little music store, and you could order a PA if you wanted to, a JBL PA or whatever. And they would order it, and it'd come in. And what else? Had about 7 agents at one time, and that's how the company was built. And it was going great. One day, my landlord came in, the lady that took care of Lee Swanson's property, and John Tabor or whatever, the guy on TV that does the bar rescue.
Yep.
And he had redone Playmakers.
Yeah, I was just telling Brady and those guys about that when we were there. They couldn't believe it, and they wondered why it failed. But yeah.
Well,
I think we know.
That's another story. Is that so he came in one day, John did, and we were talking about something. He's looking around. He went, "Man, this looks nice to be, you know."
He didn't yell at you like he does everybody else?
No, we were gabbing. I don't even know why he came. We were talking business, of course, because I was booking Playmakers, and he just loved it. We had took us probably 500 gallons of paint to paint the entire place, and we had a big one wall was about 14 feet high and I don't know,
wow.
20 feet wide. And we had a big green screen and big camera on a crane. You could come in and video with a green screen.
God damn it!
We had a huge conference table. That room itself was as big as our houses. It was huge. And anyway, he no more than left. A day or two later, Betsy, the landlord, took property taker care of, whatever she was. She called me and said, Lee and them are going to take over the second floor and you got to go. And I said, okay.
They wouldn't renew your lease, basically.
Yeah, so I said, okay, couple of months. She wouldn't know, 30 days.
Yeah, that's what happened to my mechanic friend. Literally, like a month ago, somebody bought out his building, and then they just said, no, we're not renewing your lease. You got 30 days to get out. And literally the next day, after he's like out of business and gone, my van falls apart. And now it's somewhere else, and these guys are nowhere near him. And it's been almost 3 weeks now. Come on.
Well, I get it. So if it hadn't been for all the bands, because we had trailer load after two studios, you know, had all the furniture, all the desks, all the computers, and I went looking for places. I needed to find a place that had about 11 or 12 foot ceiling, so I could put the studio tracking room back in.
Exactly, you need that headroom, yeah.
Just on the verge of getting 2 offices, one over in Moorhead and one in Fargo, one for the studio and one for the agency. And somebody turned me on to the building we're in now, and I asked the landlord, I said, can I tear out a wall and tear out the ceiling? Because they had a drop ceiling. It was an architecture building, had an architecture company in there or something. They had all these built-in tables or desktops, tons of fluorescent lights where it was all white, big light, everything was white, and draft out, you know, where they did their drafting work and all that stuff. And he went, yeah, do whatever you want. So my son took a crew in there and painted everything, and We tore out the wall, built a tracking room. All the bands, we moved in, I believe, February, and it was 20 below, wind howling. To get out of that bank building, you couldn't go down the fire escape because it was an old metal, very unsafe, hanging onto the wall with 2 screws and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we had to block off Broadway, and people honking and screaming at us, and we were bringing stuff down, and it was all warm. By the time they got over to the office in Moorhead to unload the stuff, and I had a storage shed I had to get to put stuff in that wasn't going in the smaller place. And doors to the trailers were freezing because of the hot equipment inside didn't get wet. And I bent Margarita loaned me a trailer, and I bent the door on it because it was froze shut. And anyway, that was it. We got moved and did the rest of the remodeling and getting everything set up, internet and network and all that stuff, and been there 10 years. So
10 years.
So I think we missed a lot in the middle there, but yeah, I'm sure I've got some.
No, I had no idea about that place you had down Broadway there. Man, that would have been a sight to see.
The only problem we had with the studio, there was a lot of traffic. None of the agents wanted to buy a parking ticket for X amount of dollars a month. So they would constantly move in their cars.
Gotcha.
Cops were constantly coming up and going, we're going to mark your tire and we're going to find it. If, you're moving your car around, you're still going to get a ticket, even though you moved. Yeah. And yeah, it was, and then the noise, it was just really noisy for the studio.
So you had to do a lot of things at night, or just...
Well, we were limited at night because the Chinese restaurant was open to 10 or 11. So the night stuff had to be really late.
Okay.
And which was fine to a degree because all the musicians drove all night anyway at the time,
Yep, no good jazz is done before midnight.
That's right. So anyway, so that's what went on down there. It was a neat spot. It was kind of a Renaissance feel, and it was cool.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But moving out to the edge of town with Moorhead into a near residential area, much quieter. We do have a railroad track, as you well know.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's not a ton of trains come across that thing. We'd hear them coming, so we just stop. 10 minutes later, they're gone, and back to a nice quiet environment in there. So, but that's the history of Bitzer Agency, and started out in my house, went downtown, and went to Moorhead, and yeah, there you have it.
And still going strong.
Still in music. I got to play for 52 years and learned a lot. That's what I try to pass on, if I can, to any of our artists that want to listen, And my story there, is ABC, but if I can get A to C and you not have to go through B, which is learning on your own what not to do.
Exactly. They say like a smart man learns from his mistakes and a genius learns from the mistakes of others. So
that's awesome.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. I can give you stuff that I had to learn the hard way, and you can take it with a grain of salt. And I don't expect you to buy into it necessarily, but if you take anything from it at all, and I expect you to do the same to me, if you can tell me, hey, Bitzer, you should do this and make things better. Yeah. Why wouldn't I want to learn?
Exactly. Never stop learning. That's the beauty of this podcast, too, is you get all these people and just all these little tidbits.
Well, see, that's something you just said. You never stop learning.
Yep.
I've said it 1,000,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000,000 more. The day I can't take something home with me at the end of the day that I've learned, I damn will pack it in.
I hope that's no time.
It can be small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not planning on going anywhere, but I definitely am in the last quarter of my life at my age. But maybe I'll live to be 100. Who knows?
Well, cool. We're going to get into some more of your musical attributes here, but first I'm going to get to our weekly report here. So, Soooo, we miss you, man. All right, right, we're going uptown at the Windbreak this weekend. We got 2 weeks' notice, Thursday and Friday. Semi-Charm Hero will be hitting the stage on Saturday the 3rd. Shooting Star Manoma and Tommy James on Friday, and then Deanna and Dan Brecky at the Mustang Lounge Friday and Saturday, the 2nd and 3rd. Blue Stem Apple Theater, we got Los Lobos and Gabe Dixon on Saturday as well. The Historic Holmes Theater and VL Whiskey Business will be out there Thursday, tomorrow night. And then the Jasper Theater, Dan Brecky's there tonight. He's probably hitting the stage right now. Dan Brecky, definitely a working guy. Whoops, and that's just why we call this Duct Tape Productions. For some reason, I cannot control this thing. Now we're going down the downtown acoustic corridor. We got Wednesday, August 31st, Eric Ratana's at Midtown Tavern. Thursday, September 1st, Maddie J at the Camp Lone Tree, 701 off the loop there. Jay and Rosanna will be playing at Pub West. JT Kenley, they'll be at the Fargo Brewing Company. And John Janis at Jasper Hotel on Thursday, tomorrow night. And Friday, September 2nd, Doug Thompson will be at Tailgaters. And Jim White will be at the Oxbow Country Club. Going downtown, Front Street Tap Room, we got Vinyl and Dino tomorrow. And open mic night with Travis Nieros on Monday the 5th. The Troll Lounge seems to have a whole lot of things happening over there, so you gotta check that out. Open mic night by the Amp School of Music is on Thursday, tomorrow night, and Julie Note will be hitting the stage on Friday. Fargo Brewing Company, Post-Traumatic Funk Syndrome, hitting the stage tomorrow night, Thursday. And then the Morrid Car Show tomorrow night, Tripwire as well. So a whole lot of good music happening tomorrow night. Definitely need to check that out. And we also have Kathy Brecky, the 42nd Street Jazz Band, doing, I think they have some like 20th or 25th anniversary thing that they're doing out there at the Delta 42. But always good stuff happening there. Okay, Dempsey's open mic night with Gina Powers tomorrow night, and then Tailspin hitting the stage on Friday. Aquarium, we got Divisions of Masters, Baltic to Boardwalk, Raw Frost, and Heavy Sweater on Friday, and then Walking Phoenix and Ginny and the Fizz and Sharon will be on Saturday the 3rd at the DCR. DrumCon Wrath. And we just got noticed that DrumCon Wrath is actually going out of business by the end of this month. So that's really sad. So we're missing a lot more open mics and all that stuff. So not liking that too much, but yeah, COVID got another one. So open mic night with Travis Nieros on Thursday. Then the VFW open mic next Tuesday. And the Kickin' Back Band will be on Friday and Saturday. Then we're going out of town with Laughing Sun Brewing Company, our favorite brewing company out of town. Jonathan Foster's Thursday the 1st, Prairie Road on the 2nd, and open mic next Tuesday out there at the Lazy Fish in Jamestown. Our very own Cito will be doing an acoustic show on Thursday. Then Nimrod, the rodeo, we have October Road on Friday. Then out at the Roadhouse, 2 weeks notice on Saturday, and then 32 Below on Sunday. All right, so that brings us up to our weekly report. So, see you in mission, man. And back to Gary. Let's talk more about your musical type endeavors here. So, when you first started getting into, when you first started jamming with these folks, I can't remember which town it was anymore, and you were just singing. What type of music were you doing?
That's interesting. We had two singers. Well, that happened. That's a tough one. Kind of a drag. 60s. Jerry and the Pacemakers, Smokey Robinson, James Brown.
Because this was 64. So.
Yep. So, there were the Britain bands, Jerry and the Pacemakers, and other British bands. There's Stones, Beatles, any of that stuff. That led to transformed into a pretty good band that we got to open for The Circle before they went on tour with the Beatles. Their last gig before they retired after their Beatles tour. They said it was their pot of gold.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think it was Red Rubber Ball or something was their hit. We did a couple shows with the Hang On Sloopy guys, that McCoy's, I believe.
Hang
on Sloopy. Yeah, we did a couple shows with those guys. We got to do a lot of national act stuff, and we were young and didn't, we had a TV show that we did. It wasn't a show based on us, but we got to perform on it a couple shows of that. So we had a lot of good things going. Our manager, we had a manager, if you can believe that. He was Kappa Alpha at Mississippi State, learning to be an attorney at the time.
Okay.
He wrote a book for managing bands and stuff, Billboard, for Billboard magazine and blah, blah, blah. So we played nothing but frats every weekend.
Jay was talking about that from Slamabama.
Yeah, same thing.
The same area and everything?
Yeah, Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss,
Okay.
Louisiana, LSU, Grambling, any of those schools. He also had a recording studio next to Jackson State. Walter Payton was from.
Oh.
So we were recording rhythm tracks. This was probably earlier in the 70s here. So passing the 60s, which was a lot of garage dances and stuff like that. You go to people's garages, and then all the kids would show up.
Oh, serious? So you could just put on like just
in a garage? Yeah. Well, I mean, it was. I would say everybody told them at school or something. They must have planned them.
So like just a house party, except it was more of a garage type thing.
It was. We did a lot of those. So all the kids would show up in the driveway, and we'd play, and it was
a great experience.
Yeah, it was a good way to start out, and we were lucky, getting the right place, right time. I did all the Smokey Robinson stuff and the high stuff, and the other singer did the James Brown. He had a more raspy voice. Mine was higher and smooth. So we had that rhythm and blues thing going,
Nice.
Which was
variety, yeah.
Yeah, it was variety, and then stuff on the radio from Hang On Sloopy.
Yeah.
Royal Guardsmen we did a couple shows with. You wouldn't know them necessarily, but they had some the Red Baron, Snoopy and the Red Baron, and they had some kind of songs out that were good songs actually, but they were little catchy. Snoopy and the Red Baron,
Okay.
I think John Fred and the Playboys, they were a killer band, had a hit nationally, and they went to England. We had opened for them. They were awesome, so we got to open for them again. And so we played in a big arena or whatever it was. The place was packed. We played. They came on. They had been in England for quite a while, and acid music and psychedelic music had taken off in England. They came on and cleared the place out in 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, no. So,
so they had this great band that actually had radio stuff. And I don't know if they went over and just took too much acid and wanted to be that
new wave band, eh?
Yeah, psychedelic band. So that's one of my memories that I can't help but share.
Strawberry Alarm Clock. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah. All those bands back then. There were others I can't think of. I should have made notes of them because I was thinking about this podcast and going, boy, if I started taking a bunch of notes just so I refresh my mind with information. It might be just so much information we run out of time anyway.
Oh, I'm sure I'll have you on more than a few.
There were all these phases in my musical career.
Yeah.
Got close to a couple record deals, and they didn't happen for whatever reason. And I always say if they weren't meant to be, they weren't meant to be.
So you wrote original stuff as well.
Well, we did. We did write original stuff. We all had a pact that we would write every day because everybody played 6 nights a week back then. So we would make sure that the first day we set up, our stage call was always at 11 in the morning because we had a huge light show and PA and everything. And then that got done. So second day we wrote in our rooms. Third day rehearsal, and fourth day rehearsal, and fifth day rest. Sixth day play and travel, so it was all mapped out. I think we paid each other about $60 a week, and all the other money would go to buying gear. So like when we were in Miami, I can remember to this day, we bought a Trooper board. Woo! I think the Beach Boys were in the music store actually, not Beach Boys, Bee Gees. because they're that area.
Oh yeah.
And I think best I remember, a couple of those guys were in the store the same day we were buying this Trooper board.
So what band was this again?
That was a band called Flyer. Well, yeah, Flyer, I believe. It was a rock band. I mean, we're doing Styx and Zeppelin and Supertramp and all this stuff.
Oh.
You know, big rock songs.
Yeah, exactly.
I was always lucky to be in bands that had lots of singers. I don't know why. The 60s band we talked about earlier on, just several guys that sang, and it was just always my thing. Any band that I ever was lucky, I played with these two brothers and a drummer, and the two brothers and the drummer sang like birds together and brought me in, so now we got 4 singers.
Nice. I've never been in a band with someone who could actually sing until this one. Everyone else before either.
Right, oh yeah.
They could, or else I was metal all the time, so it was all screaming.
Thing is, though, you're spoiled now because
oh God, I'm spoiled.
Yeah, it's I just could never take a step backwards. And we've talked about it many times together at the office.
Yep.
Come on, guys, sit down and learn your vocal parts and do them a cappella so you can find who's singing that wrong note. You gotta.
But they don't let me sing for good reason.
Well, you've already convinced yourself you can't. So
well, the thing is, I'm actually trained and licensed to teach choir. And I remember my first choir class that I had one student go to state. And I remember on the drive there, she's like, "No offense, Mr. Stahlberger, but you just don't sing very well." Laughing.
Well, I get it. I hear it all the time. My argument is, you're a musician. Now you are a drummer, but I assume you play other instruments.
Oh, yeah.
So you know notes.
Yep.
So my argument is, especially to guitar players and keyboard players that actually play chords and stuff all the time.
Yep.
My argument is if you can hear chords, if you can hear your guitar out of tune, why can't you learn to sing?
Well, I probably could.
Yeah,
the
thank you. You just validated my point.
Exactly.
You could take the time to do that. You could take somebody like Rosanna from Slamabama and have a couple of sit-downs with her, and I guarantee you she would put you on the right path
That's not a bad idea.
to learning how to sing.
Well,
Andy
from done that.
Andy from 8th Hour come in the office all the time. "Andy, why aren't you singing?" "I just can't. I can't." Now he's singing tons of stuff. I said, find somebody that you feel like your voice is like, and then learn every single song on that album if you got an album from them. That's what I did. I wore out records of Stevie Wonder and realized that, number one, I would never be as good as him. Number two, they didn't need a white Stevie Wonder around, so it wasn't to do me any good, copy him.
Oh, exactly.
But I learned how to breathe and phrase and sing in a way that he did, and so that's why I did, Smokey Robinson and any of the gospel, not all of that Southern stuff is very, very influenced gospel music, church music, especially the
Stuff
black.
That's got balls to it.
Yeah, the black community, they were singing loud and proud for years and years and years
It's
before
so much fun.
we all got figured it out. So, yeah. So I mean, you can learn to sing. Doesn't mean you have to be a great singer. I love using Andy as a reference because went out to see them 2 or 3 weeks ago and must have sang 4 or 5 songs. It was like, yeah, boy's come a long way. He's doing great, so you can do it too.
Nice. We should get to some of your slides that I picked up here.
Ooh.
Before we run out of time here. I don't know. This it's going to be all random because OBS is just that way. But
that's the band, the Webbs, that did the TV thing, did a lot of opening acts for national acts, and played frat after frat after frat.
And that's you in the headband?
That's me. and that the singer with the cigar in his mouth, he was the one that did the James Brown stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Killer voice, and he has on my little It was a saddle blanket with the neck hole cut in it, so he borrowed that from me. So we, yeah, so
You're the one with the style in that band. Huh?
yeah, that the bass player next to him, between him and Ronnie and me, and then guitar player Mike Primo's. They owned a bunch of Primo's restaurants in Jackson, Mississippi, and Mike Morris. I named my first son after he got killed in a car accident.
Oh,
And,
sorry to hear that.
another Mike next to him. That was the band, man. Good band, bunch of singers there. And we did like Up, Up and Away, My Beautiful Balloon. You know, stuff like, I mean, really vocal. The association, you know, anything big vocal. I always figured if you could be in a band that could tackle big vocal songs, most bands didn't have that many singers, and you could not made you better than them. It just created a product that was different than them. You know, because it's never about being better than anybody else. Another thing you and I've talked about many times. It's about taking care of your own nest.
Exactly.
And
yep.
worry about your own band.
Yeah.
Figure out what you got to do. Whew, I don't know if I can look at that picture. I worked
I just
at
like this. It says 76, so this was in Christmas of 75. So I was basically probably 5 months old around this time.
I
That's why I picked this one.
worked at the Mississippi Baptist Medical Center as a straight job after college, and you know, played on weekends. And I painted that picture I was in the maintenance department, so I took care of air conditioners and refrigerators and blood banks and all of that stuff at a hospital.
Oh.
And anyway, they asked me to paint a picture for, you know, every department had to make something for Christmas, and I painted that picture.
So you painted that?
Oh, unfortunately, I did.
That's really good.
Well, I went to college for art, and after 2 years at the University of Southern Mississippi, my art teacher, I think he knew I wasn't that good, and he said, well, you realize if you're going to make money, you got to move to New York. And I'm going, I ain't moving to New York. I better get out of the art department. So I left that, went to a different college, and took accounting, I think, for a half a year or something. That was it. By then, I was playing all the time. And
oh, thank God. Yeah, you as an accountant.
I actually worked for the Mississippi Baptist Medical Center twice. Quit, came back, did it again. And the second time was history, and it was full-time music after that. Until 1995. That's my father.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was you or not, but I was just like,
yeah.
There's a definite resemblance.
He was in the Navy.
Okay.
And
is that during World War II or just
World War II, 1940? That would have been 41, 42. I'm guessing. I was born in 48. So
my dad was born, I think 48.
Yeah.
He was 49.
So he met my mom when he was in the service. He was from Cincinnati, Ohio, of course, where I was born, and she was from Elk City, Oklahoma, and he was at a base out in Stillwater, I think.
Oh.
So anyway, that's my father.
There you go.
That's Zubas.
Yeah.
I'm in Chicago there in the Sears building, I believe, my wife and I. We Icebreaker, it's a long story, I'll make it real short. We had some guys from Vegas come in and taught us how to act on stage, which is a bit funny because I feel like everything they taught us we already knew. And I think all of us musicians that play for a living probably know what they should be doing. They just had names for everything. You know, passing the ball, bookends, you know, they had names for everything. So they videoed the band, came back several weeks later and videoed us again to see if we learned anything they taught us. That was a gift from our booking agent to make us sign a 3-year contract. Well, if you'll sign a 3-year contract, we'll bring in some people to teach you how to perform.
Oh.
And we'll pay for it. So yeah, they owned us. Yeah, that's it's a Holiday Inn in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where the University of Southern Mississippi is. That's where I played with the two brothers. That was the lady that ran the lounge that we played all the time, and that's about it. Icebreaker.
Icebreaker.
That's the original Icebreaker.
The mullets are flying high.
The mullets are flying high.
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like we all had a trim by then. So,
I just wish it was detailed enough so I could actually like, read what he had written on there, but
yeah,
maybe
that's
somebody with a real nice TV could see that.
somebody sent that to us. Obviously, that we had signed for them. They're probably cleaning out their attic and sent it to me in Moorhead.
Oh, that was nice of them.
Yeah, I had some of that web stuff you saw earlier. That was sent to me from the attorney that was our manager.
Okay.
He's the attorney for, I think, for Dove Records, a Christian label.
Okay.
And stuff he must have dug out. Actually, it was his brother, because there was the Frascona brothers. There was like 3 of them. And so I got some stuff from them, too. Old posters and stuff.
That old memorabilia is so cool. Yeah, I ran to one of my old CDs at one of those CD shops. The only one left in Moorhead a couple of years ago. So every time that pops up on my Facebook thing, I always pop it back on. But then one of my drumline kids last Thursday asked me if I was in a band called Darian. And I was like, Dorian? Yeah. And I was like, how do you know about this? That was over 20 years ago.
Saw it in the...
His dad or uncle or something was an old friend of ours, and he had one of our shirts still from when we were selling back then.
Wow.
I was like, I don't even have one of those.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing too. You know, is the fact that we didn't keep all that stuff when we should have.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like, oh yeah, it's here.
I think I've got a 10-year, 20-year, and 25-year anniversary shirts of Icebreaker that still are around.
You gotta keep those.
That's Icebreaker. Looks like Peter. Is that Peter back there? Or no? Who is that back there?
I can't really tell.
Looks like Stevie Grindal. We
I'm just digging on that flying V.
well, I'm a little confused as to some. I'd have to kind of research the time because we had a the original Icebreaker. We had a black drummer that was sang like a bird, and he played in a group called Up With People that toured like Europe and all this. And he left. I'm trying to. Wally came after that, the pitcher with the long hair guy, and then he left, and we went through a few drummers while we were trying to. Peter came after Wally, by the way.
Peter. Oh,
Peter,
yes. Forget about our Peter, our JoJo Mayer giveaway thing. I'll bring that up here after we're done with the photos.
Yeah. So,
but we got a we got a question here from Scotty G. Scotty G says, maybe you could verify, if you didn't sing harmony, you didn't get a mic. Is that some kind of quote or something like that?
if you didn't sing harmony, you didn't get a mic?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have quoted that, because I would have shoved the mic in your face and said, you're going to sing harmony.
Gonna make it happen.
Scotty G.
Thank you for being out there, Scotty.
There's our retirement party.
I love that.
26 years. One of our fans that was always would come places and see us had that cake made.
Oh, that was really nice of them.
So that's Icebreaker with our sound man in the middle, Steve Anderson. And that was kind of a cool cake.
That was really cool. Oh, and then there's the picture.
Yeah, that was actually
piece.
Fargo, that magazine, Fargo magazine, whatever it was.
Okay.
They brought me in a basement and said, sit in this chair. We want and they had this idea. Right, well, yeah, they had this idea of Mr. Mafia.
Oh, there we go.
That was, I said, what is it? Yeah, well, we want to have that mafia look. And the article was about, I'm the head of this mafia musician. Whatever. I never really got it. But, yeah, fun times.
No, that's cool.
All my bands are my children. You know that, right? Including you, even as young as you are.
I'm glad you're saying that. Where is this? It should be right here. Oh, gosh. No wonder I couldn't see it because I'm looking straight ahead. All right. So, JoJo Mayer basically, we have the giveaway still going on from Peter Niblok's podcast, at least the second one. Basically, what this is all about is that it's a really, really good DVD out there for at least drummers for hand technique and all that stuff. This is where basically Peter and I bonded over in Best Buy a long time ago. I was brought in to teach while for some reason he didn't want to do that part, or he just didn't apply or something. So he was just being the guy behind the counter, and he was watching the JoJo Mayer thing, and then we were talking hand techniques, and we started doing a bunch of stuff. We just bonded over it. So basically, to win this, you just need to name the first drum set that Peter, the brand of drum set that Peter Niblok has purchased, the first drum set he ever purchased, which actually is the same kind that I first purchased. So, but mine obviously wasn't in Ireland. It was literally about 2 blocks here from that Cole guy. I think he did polka bands and stuff.
That would be a guess, wouldn't it?
So, if you're out there and you want to take a shot at it, do it in the chats, do it in the comments below. If you get it right, well, I'll get it to you as soon as I can. So there we go. The JoJo Mayer DVD. I almost forgot about that. So, all right. So we're basically out of time, but are you ready for a little juvenile destruction?
Not sure what that is.
Oh, man.
It will put us in jail?
Not just yet.
Okay.
All right. So here's this week's Recycled Off the Roof. Go. Took me a minute to figure out what this was again. That was perfect game too. You're hired. Okay, so you may be wondering what that's all about, but basically, us crazy kids in the 90s, we'd have parties here. I grew up in this house. I bought it for my dad about 15 years ago. And during these parties, it always ended up on the roof, and we'd always be throwing stuff out there just to watch it smash in the driveway. So we're just keeping the tradition alive here with that. Now, these are all recycled ones because I know you saw when
From your house here?
Yeah, this is literally out in the front yard.
I didn't. Okay, that's cool.
I made a lot of drumming noises in this room alone. But just keeping that tradition alive. But we're recycling a bunch now because I know you saw it on the way in, is that we had to do a little bit of a work in the basement here. So I got a whole ton of junk that's just sitting on the driveway I've been trying to get rid of for the past few weeks. But there's that. This week's Off the Roof. All right. So, you got anything left for the good of the order? Anything coming up? Anything special? I know you have a birthday party you're getting to tonight.
Yes, that's one of my grandkids. Turned 21 yesterday.
21.
So I'll leave here and go over and meet them. I think it's Sicky. Is it Sicky's?
Sicky's Garage?
Sicky's Garage.
Oh, yes.
Andy's playing there. Andy Peterson.
Nice.
I don't know if it's Ruckus or which band it is. You know, he's got like 3 or 4. So we're going to go over there, and Sarah will be there with a bunch of kids. So we'll see how that works out.
Oh, cool. That'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do for us right now is like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff right below. Comment. I don't even care if you're just swearing at me. That's just absolutely fine. That helps us out quite a bit out here. And if you have anyone that you think you should be on, or if you like to be on yourself, you can always get a hold of us at Uptown Tonight Podcast at Gmail, or you can always find everything that we're doing at uptownbandfargo.com. So all that's fun stuff out there. So remember, if your drummer's got more charisma than your front man, your band may be in trouble. But that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.
Alright, I'm gonna get to the birthday party.
It's just a little baby turtle. Look at him go.